Well, hi, my name is Ian. I'm the pastor of City Discipleship Presbyterian Church in Kuala Lumpur, and we're looking at putting together a series of 4 videos today talking about spectacles in church planting. So Scripture tells us that mankind has been obsessed with spectacles from the beginning, and by spectacles I don't mean the kind you wear on your face, but the ooh-ah spectacles, the things that we like to look at, things that excite us. When we look into the earliest parts of Genesis, we see that right after Adam and Eve were kicked out of the garden, they had a couple of sons. The oldest murdered the younger one. Of course, you guys all know the story, right? Cain. And he was exiled to the east. He fled from God's presence toward the east into the land of Nod, and there he built a city. That chapter, the 4th chapter of Genesis, outlines how his civilization develops over several generations until it comes to a point where it describes how his 7th descendant, Lamech, has a few sons. One of the sons becomes the father of those who live in tents and tends livestock. Another son becomes the father of everyone who plays stringed instruments, and the last son becomes a forger, a man who builds tools out of bronze and iron, that sort of thing. And a lot of commentators will point out that what a blessing it was that God allowed even the rejected line of Cain to build a city and build use technology and develop in this way in civilization. But what many commentators seem to miss is that these 3 kind of technologies that Cain's people developed are also necessary for worship. They're necessary for false worship. You've got animal sacrifice, you've got musical instruments, and you've got tools for operating with burnt sacrifices and fire. And so what we see is that the city Cain built was actually a spectacle. It was a counterfeit Garden of Eden. The original garden was on a mountain in the Far East. So Cain went even further east, and he built another mountain. He built a ziggurat, a tower, a false mountain, where he worshipped his gods, where in fact we find out his descendant Lamech sets himself up as a god king, and makes himself the central spectacle of his civilization. Now, of course, we also know from Scripture that a couple of chapters later, God gets tired of this and wipes out Cain's civilization with a flood. But that doesn't stop mankind, does it? Because a couple chapters after that, what do we see? We see mankind gathering together once again to build yet another temple, yet another false mountain, another false garden. This one, of course, is what has come down to us now is known as the Tower of Babel. Where Nimrod, the great king, enslaves the people around him and gathers them together, and they come together, and Scripture says they speak to each other and say, "Come, let's build a city," right? Just like Cain did, with a tower that reaches to the heavens so that we can make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we will be scattered over the face of the whole earth. And so once again, repeating the same history that took place before the flood, mankind gathers together to build a spectacle, to centralize civilization around themselves and around the worship of themselves. They want to climb up and become God, or they want to climb up and bring God down to them. But of course, we know how that story ends also, don't we? God looks down from on high and says, "What are these people doing down here? We're going to put a stop to this also." But this time in his mercy, he doesn't destroy them with a flood. He scatters them, he confuses their languages, scatters the nations throughout the earth. And it is only there, out of the ruins of that civilization, that he draws one family, the family of Terah, who has this son named Abraham. And God brings him out of the ruins of that civilization and tells him, "Go from your country, go from your family, your father's household to this land I will show you." And then he tells him, "I will make you into a great nation. I will turn you into a great spectacle. And I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse, and all people on earth will be blessed through you." And so this first few chapters of Genesis sets up this competition between the mankind spectacles and the spectacle that God is going to bring to life through Abraham.